What's up, everybody? What's up, Kristen Fraser? Hello, Sarah Batio official. Sarah Body. What's going on, Melroy of the Sea? Hello. What's up, Ashy Allison? I'm crazy grateful too. What's up, Brandy Vaughan? Hello, Natalie. You're so welcome. What's up, Jaya? What's up, Christina? Hi. What's up, CW? Hi, Cheryl. Hello, Rob. Let's do it, right? Let's get into it. You've managed to find me at a good time because I'm doing a live Q&A, and we know when we do that, I gotta get myself ready because we get into it, right? We get into this shit. We're not fucking around. We're here to have a jam time, good jam session. It's gonna be exciting. I haven't read the questions. I'm gonna read them aloud, and we're gonna go into it. So, for those of you who don't know, I opened enrollment again for Dating 101 because it is by far my most popular course I've ever done. And I mean, I am biased because I created it, but it does kick ass. I gotta tell you, it is transformative. I had, on some of the calls, I remember I had someone say, like, this course is so different than anything I expected from a dating course. Like, it's so much deeper. And I was like, yeah, we don't fuck around here. Like, this isn't a candy-ass dating course. We're getting into it. So, you ready? We're getting into these questions are all going to be relational. We're going to get into it. We're going to have fun. Oh, man. Let's do this. Okay, question 1. Mark. How do I know the difference between narcissistic love bombing and deep, genuine chemistry? I met someone and we hit it off really quickly, but I can't help but feel it's too good to be true or that I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Am I just being overly cautious? Well, listen, I don't think there's, we sort of assess ourselves and we should have cautiousness. To fall in love and not have any filter or any sort of objectivity still, like that's what most of us do is we just are like, oh, I have a connection. I guess we're going to get married and we're going to do all the things. And we fall so in love with the story that we're not paying attention into what's actually occurring. Now, I'm not saying that you're not paying attention to what's occurring, the person who's asking this question. But the difference between love bombing and genuine deep chemistry, I would say, is first off, you shouldn't be, I'm going to say 99.9% of the time when I say this, I'm right. But I'm going to leave the exception 0.00001, which is dropping L-bombs in the first week is a red flag. It is. Come on. Like, have you really had time to assess someone? Have you seen them upset? Have you seen, their shit yet? Have you seen how they handle a boundary? Have you seen, like, when they're trying to escalate things really quickly, how do you stay grounded in the objectivity of choice? How do you stay grounded in the very important part that when you're in a dating process, you need to still have discernment? You can't just throw your discernment out the window because your loins tingled for someone. Like, just because you got some like, oh, but they're so great and I love them so much. It's like you've been on 3 dates. Like, let's calm down. Let's back the truck up. Let's turn down the volume. Let's just regulate ourselves. Now, it's not to say that you can't be excited when you meet someone, right? This isn't saying don't be excited. This is saying stay in your body. This is saying stay in your brain. This is saying stay in your heart. Trauma bonds, or that idea of like, which is really what a relationship with, a narcissist is we're finally waiting for someone to save us. We're finally in this space of like, I can't wait for like someone to complete my dreams. And, narcissists are highly skilled. They're highly charismatic. They're not fucking around. They are fucking around, but you know what I mean, is that they're highly charismatic, they're highly attuned. So you have to be objective throughout any dating process. You have to be objective and keep in your body, in your mind. Like when I think about that rapid escalation, that's always the big red flag. Deep, genuine chemistry feels grounding. It feels embodied. It feels like, oh, this person is really someone I'm really digging them. Like I could see myself going on another date with them. I'm really feeling this. And what we're doing in that is we're not feeling like the story is getting away from us. Do you notice that? That's the difference. Trauma bonding, narcissistic elation, that usually comes from the place of wanting to be taken away, right? It's not grounding. And you notice like a lot of the times when people are in these relationships with people who escalate really quickly, they're like, I love you, oh my God, I could just see a future with you. And they're super consistent, but then they have inconsistent phases. Or they tell you they're gonna take you on a fucking trip in the first week. Like, they're already telling you about all the things that are gonna happen. Like, you're on one of those dates on The Bachelor, which, let's be honest, anyone would fall in love on those dates on The Bachelor, except for with that one guy who was like a super weird dude. Luke, I think his name was, from a couple of seasons ago. You might not fall in love with him because he had some issues. But in general, when we're on this, like, I don't know if his name was Luke, so let's just cancel that I even said that. It could be something else. Tom, whatever it is. I always pick on the name Tom. But if you're like at the top of a cliff, having dinner served by someone who cooked it for you and you arrived in a fucking helicopter, like, of course you're gonna fall in love. You fall in love with the fact that this is part of a story that you've been socialized and taught to want, that taught you not to be discerning and to just fall in love with, all of the different things we're taught to fall in love with, which are generally not grounding, which is like, oh man, okay. So I could go off about how dysfunctional The Bachelor often is. Okay, are you ready? Number 2. Are you ready for number 2? Number 2 is going to be a fun one because I already see the first line. Mark, can you find love on Tinder? I met someone that set my world on fire. I'm doing sound effects now. I never thought I could be this interested in anyone. My only hang-up is that this started as a Tinder hookup, and in my experience, Tinder dates just don't last. Could I just be self-sabotaging here? Well, first off, in my experience, Tinder dates don't last. So your Tinder dates haven't lasted in your experience, but I certainly know lots of people who've met partners on Tinder. So we can't say like everybody on Tinder is looking for a hookup. Sure, some people are, and it's pretty obvious, let's be honest. If you got an areola out, if you're like, most of your swipe pictures are just face-up selfies, or like, your booty's in most of the pictures. You don't, like, where did my shirt go for all my Tinder profile pictures? What happened to my shirt? I just can't find any shirts. I can't find pants. I can't find shorts. Like, it's pretty funny when you think about it. It's pretty obvious, when you're looking through any dating profile that you can tell what someone's looking for. And that's not a judgment. That's actually, technically that is actually a judgment, but it's actually what we do, which is, they're called decision heuristics. They're shortcuts to understand someone's value system, what someone wants, what someone's looking for. Now, I'm not saying that just because someone's ass is their Tinder profile that they're looking for a hookup, but I'd say it's pretty likely, let's be honest. Now, I'm not saying you who asked this question, I'm not saying your Tinder profile is your ass, but can you find love on Tinder? Of course you can. And we see someone in the comments is already like, yeah, I found love on Tinder. I met someone that set my world on fire. I never thought I could be this interested in anyone. That's amazing. That's awesome. The only hang up is it started as a hookup. Now listen, can things that start as hookups be relationships? Sure, why not? They can. You could do the whole Humpty Hump and then end up in a relationship. And I would say also at the same time, it's like, if you're on Tinder to hook up, then you're not on Tinder looking for a relationship. Like, the very intention of why you're swiping is the core reason why. Like, in Dating 101, the course that I have on how to learn how to be good at dating, like, it's a skill set. Picking a relational partner is a skill set. It is likely, I would say, one of the most important skills you'll ever have to potentially develop in your life. And in Dating 101, we talk about that, of like, how do you pick a viable partner? How do you assess what they're looking for and if they're in alignment? If you don't know exactly what you're looking for and you're joining Tinder, installing that shit, and people are like, why are you installing Tinder? And you're like, I don't know, like, maybe look for a relationship, maybe hook up. Well, those are kind of different things, except for the length of the relationship is shorter. And you're like, yeah, but like if I happen to hump somebody and then we fall in love, then that sort of solves both my problems. And it's like, yeah, I mean, actually, that's a fair point. That's hard to argue with. And when you're entering into engagements with people who are just looking to hook up and you're looking for a relationship, then already in the first moments of experience, you are in a different relational intention, right? Like we're hoping it turns into something, which is very different than being intentional with our time about what we want it to turn into. Again, none of this is a judgment. I don't care if people bang, if people do one-night stands, if people do whatever they want to do. I'm saying that when you swipe with the truest, deepest intention of what you actually want, right? Because you're going to end up in relational experiences with very different types of people. I mean, we know that to be true, right? Like you're like, I could hump that person. But long-term relationship, right? Like we all do that. We all consciously do that. We do that in our conversations with our friends, all of those types of things. We make these assessments. And so you have to be so intentional with why you're doing it, right? That's it. Just get intentional, get in your body, get clear on what you actually want. So could this turn into love? Sure. But remember, when you met with and hooked up based on the agreement that you're just doing a hookup, and then you're now like, hey, I'm actually really excited to potentially pursue this. And they're like, nah, we just hooked up. And then you end up so disappointed because deeper in there is actually the desire to express what you truly want, which is a relationship. So, okay. I mean, I feel like are you self-sabotaging just because you're on Tinder? I mean, I don't think there's anything self-sabotaging about what you're doing, except for if you're just hooking up randomly and you actually want a relationship. Then yes, I would say that's self-sabotage. Because you're not allowing yourself and don't believe you'll actually get what you say you want. All right, someone said that Tinder in the UK is actually toxic and damaged. Possibly. I have no idea. But, I mean, the UK, can't you just meet someone at a pub? I feel like that's a good place to meet someone in the UK. I might be off on that. All right, question number 3. I see, Roberto, I see you're really using the platform this is not Tinder, Roberto, okay? That's not Tinder. But if you guys all want to meet, you do you. Okay, question number 3. How do I get someone to like me for my personality and not just for sex? I've noticed every time I meet someone, sex comes up very quickly. I know I'm so much more than sex, but it feels like it's the only way to move forward in this day and age. I've tried to slow down before, but as soon as I feel like they might be slipping away, I know that sex would keep them interested. What else can I do? Well, first off, if you want someone to like you for your personality and not just sex, then don't do the Humpty Hump right away. Like when we're doing the Humpty Hump, when we're humping, I know someone said, no one says hump anymore. Oh yeah, they do. They do, I do. So people are still saying it. I'm bringing it back. So when people are doing it and sex comes up too quickly, I see that. So there's a belief here that my value is in my sexuality. My value is in my ability to hook up. My ability to, ride the wave, whatever we want to call it. As soon as we present that forward to keep someone, then what happens is as soon as we do that, we present ourselves to get someone, we've already abandoned ourselves. We've already gone into the place of sourcing worth from connecting, from hooking up. And so in doing that, like in that exact moment of being like, I should have sex now because, as soon as you go to I should, as opposed to it feels like an embodied yes, it feels like it's the next logical step. I remember when I was single years ago, when I was single and had this state of mind, which was a long time ago, thankfully, I used to hook up in order to determine if there was a connection. But now I realized after I learned this, which was thankfully years ago, that you should figure out if there's a connection before hooking up, if you're actually seeking a relationship. So like, look, people who just want to hook up, who might misrepresent themselves at the beginning, if you don't hook up at the beginning, they're gonna eventually fall away. They don't have that much patience. Let's be honest. If you waited 5-6 weeks, also you gotta remember that when you hook up with someone, you release all these hormones, you release all this data in your brain, all this biology comes out, and it's like, attach, connect, I want this person. Even if they're not a good choice. Do you notice that? Like, your brain goes out the window as soon as you're like, ah, and then you're like, previously you're like, this will just be a hookup. Then after you're like, ah, you're like, this person, I could really see myself with them. And your friend's like, but they have so many red flags. And you're like, yeah, but I'm in that bliss post-hump thing, you know, where you're like, I could really see a future with him. That's your biology. That's your biology influencing your objectivity. I feel like my dad used to say to my brother and I when we were young, your body doesn't have enough blood to perfuse both heads at the same time. And that was funny. We used to laugh at that. And I think in some ways that actually might be true. So, you know, one way to get someone to fall for your personality is to believe that you're more than just sex, right? This is about self-work. I mean, in Dating 101, we explore all of these different patterns, like when do I hook up and why? Why am I actually doing the hooking up, right? I brought on Shadeen Francis, the sex therapist, to talk specifically about that. We have Stefanos talking about exploring, like, how to figure out if someone's a narcissist, how to date and move through that process. You know, like, all of this stuff is such imperative skills and knowledge to build that, shit, if you're like, this relates to me, then sign up, because not only is it, I mean, it's the most fun. It's the most fun. It's fun, and expansion should be fun. Dating should be fun. It shouldn't be this heavy thing. It should be this place where you like know you have power, where you are in power, you're in choice, and you're recognizing healing things that you've not recognized and healed along the way. Listen, our hurt occurs in relationship, and that's where we go to heal it. That's where we go to heal it, is in relationship. So dating can be this awesome opportunity to heal. The link is in my bio. You can sign up now. It starts at the beginning of June. Okay, so with this person, if I was, I would wait to make love, to do the thing with them, because there's something about a lack of security and attachment that makes you hook up earlier than your embodied feeling that it's a good idea, that you're doing it to maintain connection and to keep them. As soon as you do that, you're not in your body anymore. You're in people-pleasing mode. You're in sourcing your worth from them. And also, if you lose them, you'll attach it to your sexuality, to your personality, to you. You'll attach it to you. When really this is about staying in your own body, staying in yourself, staying discerning. You've tried to slow it down before, but as soon as I feel like they might be slipping away, I know that sex would keep them interested. Don't keep them interested. If sex keeps them interested in you, then they don't want you for you. They want you for hooking up. Then they're not there for you. And so you're going to be disappointed that they leave if you don't hook up with them, but if you hook up with them, they stay. The only thing keeping them is sex. Then they're not there for you. You don't want people who aren't there for you. Right? Like, we have to recognize all the time that if your standards get rid of people, that's the point of the fucking standards. If your boundaries make it so someone's not in your life, that's the point of the boundary. If your personality put forward first is not something that they want to be with, then they're not your person. But if you have to leave your personality and leave yourself and actually do something you don't want to do to keep them, you're already in a state of not being who you actually are. They're falling in love with a fake version of you. They're falling in love with a manipulative version of you. They're falling in love with an unhealed part of you that believes that's what you need to put forward to get people. And you don't need to do that. But I can tell you that. But it won't really matter till you stop doing it. And you stop being around and choosing to be around and date people who keep validating the idea that you're not enough. If you stop dating people who only want sex, you won't see that the world only wants that there's more to you. But as soon as you leave yourself for anybody, you're not actually in a relationship anymore. Your fake self's in a relationship. And you're likely in a relationship with their fake self. So it's just a couple people who aren't their actual selves, in a relationship, and they call that marriage, and then they stay till death do us part, because how could anyone actually, authentically be in relationship when it's founded upon those false agreements? And most relationships, a lot of them are founded on false agreements. So I see another Aisha says, Matt's dropping so many truth bombs. Where's Matt? Who's Matt? Where's Matt? Are you watching another thing while you're watching this? This is like calling out the wrong name while you're hooking up with someone. Hey, Matt, that felt so good. I'm like, my name's Mark. Who's Matt? Tell me who Matt is. Okay. Next question. Is it a bad sign he wasn't interested in kissing on even the first or second date? On the first or even second date. Is this a sign that we don't connect, or is it some sort of test? I thought our dates went great, but I'm not sure whether to keep pursuing or not anymore. This is an interesting question. I remember thinking to myself when I was single, when I was younger, I remember thinking you can't go wrong not kissing on the first date. You can't, because it creates allure, it creates mystery, it creates uncertainty. And now I realize that someone that person knows is writing in asking this question. Because let's be honest, it's actually a good idea to create a little mystery and distance. Again, we talked about when is the right time to have sex, when is the right time. It's like when it feels embodied for you, and when you're not just doing that to do it, unless you want to do it. But in this space of is it a bad sign if he wasn't interested? I don't know that he wasn't interested. Just because someone didn't kiss on the first or second date, or, grab your willy, or do what, touch your special spot, it doesn't mean they're not interested in doing those things. It just means, and we can't even say if there's no kissing on the second date that he's avoidant. That's such an assumption. We can't say that. That's a story we're creating that's going to influence how we interact with them. So instead, what I would say is that if you really felt like there was a connection and you were curious about them and they're pursuing you and you're pursuing them, then go on another date. Why not? And then maybe wait, because they're respecting the space and they don't enter the intimate space till they know that they want to be in a relationship, or they want to date you, or they want to pursue something. I think it's really interesting that we're they're definitely not interested. And we're we can't say that. We just know that maybe they're respectful of the space. Maybe they like to take their time. How do we know? We have no idea, no context to this person who may have rushed into intimacy in their past, so they like to actually take their time. Again, we're potentially coding abnormal behavior as wrong, because it's abnormal, perhaps in some people's experience, that someone doesn't kiss on a first date. But if we're still pursuing each other, keep it going. Yeah, maybe it's the old vid getting in the way of everything, because it's in the way of fucking everything. I'm in Canada, so you can't do anything. So maybe it's just COVID. It's getting in the way of first dates. In Canada, the health minister, real brilliant, this is our best science put forward, suggested that we use glory holes to be intimate with people. Yeah, that's our best science, just to be clear. And I'm being cynical, because that's awful advice. All right, next question. Hi, Mark. I've been dating a wonderful man for 6 weeks. He's showing himself to be everything I've wanted. I can see us being truly happy. But our politics don't match at all. And I mean at all. We've only had 2 arguments, and they've been about politics. This relationship feels so promising. Is it doomed that we can't see eye to eye on politics? Listen, I don't think it does. I don't think it dooms it. I think it'll be challenging because politics is so triggering and so embedded in our identities and our psyches. We're but I'm this and I'm that, and look at how we do not know how to hold opposing views and thoughts. Listen, what usually gets in the way is the values we associate with a political position or a religion or whatever it might be. And so, like, you could think about someone could be pro-mask and the other one anti-mask, or someone pro-vax and anti-vax. I have a lot of thoughts on all those subjects, because even the idea that we're dividing ourselves as opposed to based on this one human's experience and this one's human experience, this is the thought and feeling that they have. And likely, when you see why someone chooses anything, their political view or their stance on something, it's due to experiences they've had. It's not just this binary where we're like, because this is how we usually see views. I'm smart because my view is mine, and I identify as someone who's smart and knows, and that means you're not. So, I guess we're fucked. Because that creates a hierarchy. Right away, that creates a hierarchy. If we don't believe that our view is, we came to it from a brilliant place, then what happens is we won't be open to our view being proven wrong. Now look, in all relationships, in all experiences, conflicts occur when there's something that has happened and two people have experienced it and perhaps engaged with it in different ways, right? And perhaps conflicting ways. Look at when people say the number one reason for divorce is money. No, it isn't. The number one reason for divorce is, first off, dysfunctional relationships and challenging relationships, maybe misaligned relationships. But it's not money, it's that two people don't know how to have a conversation about the subject of money with two different experiences. So the same thing is true about political views. Our political views are derived based on how we see the world, how we were raised, a lot of different things. And again, I'm not saying one's right versus the other. What I'm saying is that maybe we could just rest in a space of curiosity of saying, instead of you're wrong and I'm right, which is usually how we approach it, we say, tell me a little bit about how you came to that conclusion. Tell me a little bit about why you believe that. Tell me a little bit about why you support that. Because someone might support a political initiative of a different party because maybe they lost their business from a previous policy that was implemented by a previous political party. And so now they're just on the other end because they were so hurt and their life was so affected by a policy by a different party, right? Like, we don't know. And so I think it's really important to be curious about all different positions, all different thoughts. You know, the ability to say, listen, I'd like to understand your political view. I'm conflicted with your political view because it makes me upset. But I also would like to understand it if you'll take the time to understand mine. And isn't it so fascinating? Like, I actually think that the new form of radical thought is radical centrism, is actually holding the space between two fucking extremes that can't even get along and just go, let's actually explore both of these. Isn't it so fascinating? Like, remember, in relationships, the most transformative skill you'll build is, how do you navigate spaces of disagreement? How do you navigate spaces of different experience, right? And the container of the relationship is designed to hold space for both of you at the same time. And that means that the container itself has to be based upon a mutual space of respect, curiosity, and understanding, and seeking to understand. And that might be the first time that happens for you or for the other person, but you have to actually create that space. And you can totally agree to disagree, because that's the beautiful part about discernment and being human, is you can say, Mark, I don't agree with you. And I go, awesome, you're allowed to not agree with me. I'm sure there's an experience you had in your life that makes you not agree with me. And that's what's so beautiful about it. And I don't think we're overlooking political stuff. We're talking about political stuff. There's no overlooking it. I think we all are affected by all these things, and it's important that we have these chats. So, let's get back to the subject at hand, which is the Q&A. All right, so your politics are different, and you don't get along at all. Can that lead to some problems? Absolutely it can. And it also could lead to some awesome opportunities for you to be curious about each other. Now, the other thing I would say, though, is that if there is a values difference, that's where it will affect your relating. If there is a values difference, then you might actually not want to be in a relationship with one another. But if everything else is on, I just start to get really curious about it. What a fiery argument about politics and all these conversations and questions. Okay, you ready for the next one? This one's already juicy, I can tell. You can always, first line, I'm like, yep, this one's juicy. The guy I'm seeing follows IG models on social media. How big of a red flag is this? We recently progressed from a dating app to adding each other on social media, and I quickly noticed these accounts. He does work in fitness and says it's all part of it, but I can't help but think it's a red flag. Well, I think it's a flag to be curious. You know, if he's engaging with a lot of them and in conversation with a lot of them, I'd say that's probably a red flag. Now, someone following IG models, listen, I'm 42. If I was 22 and IG existed and there was a bunch of booties and boobies and all the things on IG, I'd have a hard time not following them. I'd have a hard time, my biology would be press and follow a lot. I don't know that I'd even follow them, but I'd certainly creep on them. So I didn't have this influence when I was younger, so I can't speak to that. But I think what's really interesting about this is what it brings forward, which is often, listen, if someone's following a bunch of porn stars and following a bunch of booty people, and again, I'm not speaking about gender specific or anything, I'm just saying, like if someone's doing that, you know, my first thought is, if my partner wasn't comfortable with me following a bunch of Instagram models and booty people, I would understand that. I'd be like, yeah, I get it. I'm like liking all these pictures that are other women. That's weird. I once met a guy who was in a relationship, and on his wallpaper, his partner was there too. On his wallpaper was a chick in a bikini that wasn't his partner. And I was like, that's not good. Like I was just thinking in my mind, that's not a good thing. And so I think in this, it's more like, what's the intention behind it? If you're in that world of fitness and all the things, and it's just a matter of you supporting other friends and people, like someone could get really triggered by someone's yoga profile, right? Because there's yoga people who are in like little clothes and little bras and little dudes in little shorts and all the things, right? So that could be just part of their work, and that we have the potential, the possibility of exploring previous hurt, previous cheating, previous things like that. You know, I think whenever we say like, is this a red flag? What we're looking for is this idea that there's only one answer. But there isn't only one answer. A red flag is obvious, right? Most of the time a red flag, what we call like a deal breaker, and we cover red flags and green flags and all the things in Dating 101 because there's nuance to things too, right? There's nuance to conversations too. We need to leave space for that. Like, do I have unhealed stuff from the past where trust has been broken? We have to bring that context into what triggers us in what's going on in our, let's say, relational things, in how someone's doing how someone's acting on Instagram. Now, it sounds like you moved from, you quickly noticed it, he works in fitness and says he's part of it, but I can't help but think it's a red flag. I think you also need to begin to get into your body and sense what is your intuition telling you? Because I remember Dr. Alexandra Solomon saying, you need to explore things by asking, like, is this my trauma or my truth? Like, is this something that's from a wound, or is this something that's actually deeply true within me? And I don't know the answer for you. So when you're actually in the dating process and you're actually exploring, is this person a good fit? Is it not? Is this a red flag? Is it not? It's so important that you're in your body in that process. And that's why in Dating 101, part of the 4-week process is actually learning about your nervous system, learning to get back into your body, learning to be discerning. You'll learn in the 4 weeks that it's mostly, like, so much of the content is about understanding yourself, understanding your world, and getting back in touch with your discernment. Because so many people want to ask, Mark, what would you do? Mark, what do you think? And it's like, you already know the answers. You just got to figure out how to wade through all the shit and heal the stuff so that you can get back in touch with your intuition and your heart. That's all these are. Like, the course is a guide to get you back there. When I said that someone was like, this course is so much deeper than I expected. I expected it to be like, how do you send 5 texts to get someone interested? Or how do you navigate this? How do you swipe left and right? It's like, no, it's so much deeper than that, because the healing that's needed is deeper. It's not a candy-ass dating course. It's the gateway to understanding yourself. It's the gateway to changing how you relate. And that's why I created the course. Like, you can find gateways to change how you relate in so many different ways, in so many different places. But this is an opportunity. If you're single or you're dating, the link for Dating 101, it's opening up again at the beginning of June. But sign up now because, it's ready. Early bird is on and we're ready to go. So click on the link in my bio and get into it. Okay, we got one more question. Here we go. Why won't they just end it? I've been seeing someone that I've really enjoyed getting to know, but recently they've slowly faded away and turned cold. He still makes plans, but flakes most of the time. Why is he still here at all? You probably already know what I'm going to ask here, which is, why are you still there? Why are you still there? You're wondering why they are, but their behavior doesn't meet your standard, and they've gone cold and gotten flaky, total red flag, bleh. They've gotten cold and turned flaky, and here you are, still fucking waiting for them to end it. Listen, I mean this with love and compassion, because someone told you or taught you somewhere that you didn't have the power to do it, that you're not the person in choice, that you're waiting for someone to change or someone else to end it. Take discernment for your life. Take power over your life. Take responsibility for your life. It's like, why are they not ending it? Why are you not? Why are they not having the conversation? Why are you not? Why don't they bring things up? Why don't you bring it up? And if it's not, the behavior's not changing or someone's not meeting a standard, why are you not leaving? Why are you not giving a consequence? What's worse, flaky or ghosting? They're both shitty. Both of them are shitty. Flaky is just continued inconsistent ghosting. It's just getting ghosted again and again by the same person because you keep letting them back in your life and you keep letting them know that behavior is okay. I love inconsistency. I love when someone doesn't keep their word. One of my favorite things. Hey, do you want to do something Saturday? Yeah, that'd be awesome. What time? 7. Cool. I'll see you then? Yeah. No, you won't see me because I'm going to flake on you. And then you're going to let me do it again because you don't stand up for yourself. Because you keep letting me back in. Why are we letting people back in? See, I see that language. Just say no to low accountability behavior. Hell yeah, I agree with you. That's Dot in Dating 101. Cheryl, love that. So much of what I learned in Dating 101 is developing tools of awareness and knowing my worth and values, right? Because you're not standing around for flaky shit. You took Dating 101. You're like, next. And if you're not still in relationship with someone who's flaky, you're now available to available people. So do you notice when you stay in old patterns and you stay in old choices, and then you complain that something isn't available to you that you ultimately seek because you're still in relationship with something that's less than that, then you're not even available to the thing that you say you want. You're not a match to the thing that you say you want, because as soon as you change your behavior, as soon as you change your choices, you are now in a totally different circumstance, and you're now available. You're a match to someone who meets you at the same standard. If you don't raise your standards, you will keep meeting people at lower standards. It makes so much logical sense. If your standards are here, that's where people are going to meet you. If your standards are here and you're complaining that people meet you at that standard because your imaginary standards are up here, you're like, yeah, but I really want that. And they're like, what do you choose in your life? And you're like, this. And you're like, yeah, but I really want someone who's available and respectful and kind and keeps their word. And you're like, yeah, but what do you choose? And they're like, this. And you're like, so do you really actually want that? Yeah, but you're not choosing it. Yeah, I know. Right? And that's where we start to feel let down by ourselves, because we know we've set this low accountability behavior to keep a connection, to keep it. We're doing it to keep connection because somewhere, someone taught us that we need to lay down and play small in order to keep people. Do you notice that? And so now you're being invited to stand up, to get up, to expand, to say, if you have to leave yourself to keep people here, then you're not even present here. A smaller version of you is here. A disassociated version of you is here. Not your fully expanded self. And so this is this opportunity for you to recognize, why did you learn that? How did it get you there? Is it benefiting you? Likely no, because it's not exactly what you want. And how do I get here? Dating 101 will take you from here. Why? Why do I stay here? What happened here? How do I heal this? How do I change this? How do I get here? And that's 4 weeks. So the link's in my bio. Go sign up. We're starting at the end of the month. I can't wait. It's going to kick ass. See Sylvia Galini. Dating 101 changed my life. Bam. Link's in my bio. Can't wait to see you there. I hope you had a beautiful time. I did.